understand is everything we just went over is when the person's putting forward pressure with their shoulder. When they're driving their shoulder forward, the only thing stopping them from coming forward is our frames. And then we're relinquishing our frames to shoot the triangle wheel plot. As soon as they start blading a shoulder back or pulling their upper body away, we no longer want to frame them back because they're going away from us. So the inverted collar sleeve is actually a situation in which we use our feet as hooks to get underneath them. And so this is the main thing I want you guys to understand today is like when to use the inverted collar sleeve. Well, when they're pulling away, before you lose the the inside collar sleeve completely. Okay, so you have to build that sensitivity for when they're driving versus when they're pulling that shoulder back that you're trying to attack. All right, and why that's important is because say I have inside collar sleeve. If I wait too long, so I get my inside collar sleeve, I'm trying to attack, he's driving his shoulder forward. So the only thing preventing that shoulder from landing in my lap is my knee frame. As soon as I relinquish this frame, look, he falls right into my lap, I can start attacking. Mike knows this. Every time I go inside collar sleeve, he knows I'm gonna be pulling that shoulder towards me. So he starts pulling his shoulder back. So the biggest mistake I can do now is try to approach it the same and feel disconnected because that shoulder's not coming forward. So inverted collar sleeve is when they're pulling their shoulder away from us. Now if they blade this way, yes. Now if I miss the chance to invert underneath, then for sure I'm gonna have to do something like this where I start attacking the shoulder that's close to me and switch to the other side. All right, we call that the switcheroo. So being good at inverted collar sleeve means being sensitive to when that shoulder is going from being forward in the transition of it going back. That pocket of time of that shoulder going from forward to back is where inverted collar sleeve fits in. So you do not wait for that shoulder to go all the way back because then we have to switch to the front shoulder, not the back shoulder. Does that make sense? So when you drill this, I want you to go super slow with this shoulder transition so that you can understand the timing for inverting underneath. So let's rotate this way. So as soon as I feel like the shoulder's going back, I have to switch my hip. And as I switch my hip, watch the orientation of my foot. It goes from toes pointing up to toes pointing down. Why? Because now I need to back heel onto Mike's shoulder because the movement of his shoulders going back and pulling away, that's an anchor point. So I'm anchoring on his shoulder to help pull myself up into invert. I'm not inverting independently of his body. I'm actually using his shoulder to pull myself up. It'd be really hard to come up without using my foot on the shoulder here. So if you don't have the shoulder, like there's nothing to lift your hips up on. I go outside collar sleeve, I get my inside collar sleeve, his shoulder's driving forward, right? We have all of our attacks, and I want your partners to do this slowly, so Mike's gonna slow. As he blades that shoulder back, look, I hip escaped, I start to point my toes down, and look at this, I'm gonna punch this arm into his stomach. This does two things. One, it prevents him from framing me. If he frames my upper body, I can't invert. Two, it helps me mold my arm to my body. Inversions, right? When we go bolo, I need this elbow fulcrum to help pull my hips up to go bolos, to basically do any type of inversion in jiu-jitsu. We don't want to separate our upper and lower body because I can't lift my hips up. But if I can use my elbow underneath my hips, now I can lift them up rather easily, right? And this is really how you're going to be drilling this next round. So shoulders forward, we can attack. Shoulder starts to pull away, one, and look. See how I'm anchoring, and I'm even putting my toes behind Mike's back to lift my hips up, like this. Not with my hips on the floor, because now I don't have any way to load him up on top of me. So lifting your hips up here, okay? And now my knee is positioned in the pocket, in his guard box. And this is gonna be important when we start looking at the knee bump sweep and to take his back if he defends the knee bump sweep, okay? Something else you can do to help you is we can frame on top of the head for extra leverage, right? So inside collar sleeve, they defend it. I can put my leg over his head to lift my hips up like this. And notice how I'm C-spining. I don't want to be balled in this position. Now he can whip away. If I'm C-spining, I have abilities to hook his neck and double back to the triangle if he gives me those reactions. All right, if your hips aren't up, you don't have the luxury of doubling back to submissions. I start going for my attacks from the inside collar sleeve, they start pulling that shoulder back, and as soon as I start attacking, they bring their head back down, right? I'm not gonna keep inverting, I just punch my knee through so I can attack that omoplata. Understood? So anything can change at any moment. but really just understanding how to invert. So one more time, just going through those details. And then from there, this is the hardest part. Once we understand how to get there, it's easy. And then all I want your partner to do is, for now, just blade that shoulder back like this, okay? So here, first they're gonna go shoulders forward. So you teach your brain, okay, shoulders forward, I attack with the inside half shoulder. Shoulder goes back, look, it's in this transition. I'm not waiting for that shoulder to be at the end range. I punch, hip escape, turn my toes down, I lift my hips up, and now this is perfect. If I need to, I go here too. All right, but this is where we want to end up. And then we reset and go again on the other side.